In this lesson, we're going to talk about text shadow. Where we left off is we can get fonts from Google. We can get fonts from our local C drive, whatever installed in Word or whatever comes with Windows. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to add some text shadow because just my first web page there just looks blah. So we're going to add some shadow to it to give it some 3D depth. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go look at our code. Shrink it down, right click, open with Notepad. There we go. So first thing, guys, is simply the attribute is text shadow, text.shadow, and then we go ahead and colon like all the other CSS commands, and then we'll start with the first two is the two numbers it wants, 2 pixels by 2 pixels. Nothing sacred about 2 pixels. All it is the distance. The first number is the horizontal shift of your text. The second number is the vertical shift. If it's positive, it's going to go down. Negative, it's going to go up. Horizontal, left. The other way, right. So let's look at it. Let's put this in, get it to work. Control H. There we go. And Control S. There's our web page. Let's refresh it. And we get a text shadow. Now, for those of you who may not see it that well in the video, the color that it takes is the color of the text. So whatever you set the color, in my case, I got white. That doesn't look so good. So let's go ahead and work on the second option with text shadow. Is we can go ahead and put in what we want. So we can put in the color we want. We do not have to live with the default. In this case, I don't know, red. There you go. Control S and save. Refresh. There you go. So now I've got a drop shadow with red. Again, this does not have to be color name. You can use all the colors available to you. I believe you can hex, RGB, and HSL. I have never done it with HSL, but I assume it would work. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is, well, I want to add a little blur to my text shadow. So we can add another number. So let's go to Notepad. And what we can do is, the first is horizontal, the second is vertical, as I said, then we got our color. We can put in another text here, which is going to define the blur in which I take this text shadow. So don't go nuts. Make it maybe, generally, if you go beyond 5 or 6, you literally cannot see anything, especially if you've got a colored background. I think on my webpage I've got blue. But anyway, just play around with it, get a feel for it. Control S. And then Shift and refresh, and there you go. Okay, so now it doesn't quite so sharp. I got a little bit of blur in it. Sometimes that looks better. Okay. And the other thing is, a lot of times you can use what's called a punch out effect. Now in this case, I already sort of have a punch out effect because my text is white. Most of the time, if it's black, let's go back here really quickly, and I'll get rid of white here and just show you the difference. Okay, Control S, got rid of the black on, the color white on my body, so by default I'll get black. So it depends on what your personal preference is here. Sometimes at least your drop shadow and your glow may show up better if you're working with black rather than white. Okay. And another thing, sometimes people want to sort of, well, I can see that offset on the text shadow. I want it to like highlight the border of it. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Okay. The way you do that sort of seems to work the best is just set these things equal to 0. So text is 0, and then 0, and then put a mild, maybe 3 blur. Something smaller than 5. Again, guys, this is something you just play with. There's no have-tos here. Control S, and you'll get refresh. You sort of get this text outline. It looks a little bit better rather than drop shadow. Okay, so you can play again with 0 offset and put in a little blur. You can sort of highlight your letters. Next thing is, let's go ahead and go nuts. I mentioned negative values, so let's go ahead and play with them. I'm going to exaggerate here. I'm just going to go, just to make sure, negative 25 pixels and, I don't know, negative 30 pixels. So this will be way off. But anyway, at least you'll get a chance to see what it looks like. Okay, and get to understand it. Control S, refresh, highlight it, and then there you go. So I've got a little blur of 3 pixels, and then you'll notice now that I have negative, I've shifted to the left. Remember, horizontal, right is positive, left is negative, and then I assume by positive it drops down. If it's negative, it goes up. This is just an exaggeration. Most of the time you can combine them with red, green, and blue and get some nice little effects. So let's go ahead and give that a shot too. Okay, what do you mean combine them? So let's go ahead, let's do that. All you really need is put a comma in between your text shadows. So like we did, I believe, with background where we had multiple images, we can do the exact same here. Let's go ahead and do that. Comma, I'm just going to 2px, sorry, 2px, 5px, 3px, and purple. And then I'll go nuts again. 25px, 30px, and make it pink. There you go. Control S. This won't look good, but you'll get the idea. A lot of times you'll be real exact about layering them to get the look that you want. Okay, there you go. So I can combine all 3 here. I've got a little red here on my initial with the black, and then I got a red, and I got a, I think it's pink at the other side. Okay, so the next option, like we did with gradients, I hate them all. So again, the knock on using, we're going to go to Fireworks and create our own personal sort of text shadow. Again, the knock here is that it doesn't adjust real well. Once we create it in Fireworks, we have an image and it doesn't adjust. If I can do the text shadow in HTML, it will for the most part adjust to my font, the size that I use, the browser, also the screen resolution, etc., etc. Okay. So anyway, let's go back and let's load up Fireworks. The other thing I want to talk about here is close that out. Just get Fireworks up, bring it over here. Showed up on the wrong screen. The other thing I want to talk about is transparent backgrounds. So by default, I think you get a white background. Again, I put inches. You don't have to put pixels, centimeters, etc. You can go ahead and select a transparent canvas. This is what we're going to do a lot of times with text, because I'm going to throw the text on a photo. We can do this in Photoshop as well. Maybe I want to put text on a video. I need to use Premiere Pro if I'm using video, but we're just going to use it here with a text. Now, you noticed over here we had the rectangle tool to create our gradient. Okay, we're just going to click on the tool next door to it and then draw our text box. Again, down here at the bottom is the basics of what you want in terms of Word 101. The alignment, bold, italics, underline, your font size. So let's ramp this up a little bit and say, thank God, Fridays are great. No, I got it white, so let's just get whatever, purple. Okay, Fridays are good. Fridays are good. Okay, these are adjustable, these text boxes. You can do some things with it. I'm not really going to go into it, again, because I'm running out of time. I just want to get the basics. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the basics. The first sort of set of filters I can use to play games with this is go ahead and do blur. Okay, Gaussian blur is much like what the blur we just discussed. Let's go ahead and do something fun. Radial blur. So radial blur is going to give me what? Okay, it's going to give me like a round or blur. Really quickly, this little note saying, look, these letters are math formulas in the computer's head. I'm going to change this into a bitmap or a picture. If I apply this filter, I can't go back. So basically, hey, are you happy with this font, this color, etc., etc.? Anyway, we'll press OK. And then we can go ahead, maybe I should use black. Doesn't look that good. I'm going to take down the amount of the blur. There you go. And maybe the quality of it. I'll ramp the quality up. And just play around with what it is you want to what you want to get. Make sense? If you don't like it, okay, just cancel it. If you press OK, then I'm sort of stuck with it. So I'm going to cancel it. There you go. I go back to Fridays are good. And then let's go ahead and do a couple of these other filters. Filter, blur. We can do zoom. That sometimes can look very good. Okay, it's going to be a map. And then I can do it again with the same amount. I can do what I want in terms of blur. Gives it the impression of motion. Okay, I don't like that either. Okay, the next one, I sort of like this one. Actually, cancel. Let's go back to our cancel. We'll go back to our standard filters and noise. Add some noise. Yes, okay. And then by the amount, especially if we have see-through, I can get a nice sort of cement type look. I sort of like this kind of look. Okay. You got a couple other options here. Sharpen, changing color. I'm not going to worry about these for the most part. We're just going to move on. Hey, all those are horrible. No, okay, no problem. Okay. Let's go down here to our styles. Now, if it doesn't show up on your computer, just go Windows, and you can select down here Styles. I am not sure what was going to show up as a default. Okay, let's go with the obvious ones that will work. We can go right over here to Text, Creative, Text, Corporate, etc. So there you go. You've got tons you can apply to. First you got to do is select the text. So in this case, I may have gone off of it. So I'm going to select my text. There you go. And then I can go ahead and apply these presets. Now, hey, I sort of like that, but I want to remove some things. So we double click on the preset, and you can remove certain things, fill, font type, etc., getting the look that you want. Okay, for the most part, you can use almost any of them. Corporate styles, I want ABC, there you go. I think occasionally I've had problems with Chrome styles and diagonal styles. Wood, yeah, take wood. Yeah, okay, it worked. Okay, but I know there's been a couple of that I have had that don't quite work. Okay, so anyway, most of these, 99.9% of these should work for you, and you should be good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and then finish up here. Fridays are good. Okay, cool. Now, a lot of times these get used. One last one. I want to put this on a photo, and I want to throw this as an image on a web page. So really quickly, we're going to go over here and then File, Import a photo. Okay, import my photo from desktop. Let's see what I got here. Desert, I'll take it. Okay. So right away, what's going to happen? You see this little like revert L here. It's going to say, well, where do you want the photo? So again, I'll just plop it here, and good enough. Okay, you've got some options. I don't want to. I'm limited in time. I might want to lecture on the details of fireworks. But anyway, click here. I can quickly go ahead and transform, scale, crop it as I so choose. If your photo's too big or too small, move it. There you go. And then you can adjust it. You can rotate it, etc., etc. So click here. I can scale in and out. Go over here and I can rotate it, etc., etc. Okay, I'm not going to go into it, but I do want to talk about, well, I'll tilt it a little bit. Hey, what happened to my text? So we go over here to layers, okay, page state layers. If it does not show up, Windows, click on layers, okay. So what we've done is we did our text, then threw our photo on top. All you really need to do is then take that layer, move the text above the bitmap. There you go. You're good to go. And then you can go, obviously, file, save it to a PNG, JPEG, and then you're good to go. You can then bring it up to your web page, use it as an image for a background or for whatever you like to do. Okay. So anyway, this is the end of the tutorial for text shadowing in HTML.